Chapter 25. Tough people are forged through tough circumstances. Weak people, on the other hand, flee from every hard thing. Imagine you worked a job where everything you did, as long as it was prudent and within the rules, prospered greatly. Imagine that as long as you gave your best effort, the vast majority of projects you were assigned were completed with high marks, that virtually every lucrative deal was closed quickly and with success, and that nearly all client interactions were smooth and productive. On top of that, imagine that as all this occurred, all of your coworkers observed you thriving and your boss took notice, and even your boss's boss turned his head and was impressed. And whether or not those people liked or despised you, you still got promoted repeatedly, all the way to the top where you belong. Wouldn't that be something? I doubt anyone experiencing such favor would dread getting up Monday morning and driving to work. They would probably be ecstatic. Another glorious day at the office. What if I told you this could be your life, with God leading the way? I'm not just speaking about this occurring only after you finished your training and stepped into your purpose. No, this life of favor could begin at the onset purpose preparation, continue into your purpose, and then continue even up to the end of your life on earth. This is a real possibility. I'm confident of this because even though I was in prison, I experienced staggering favor despite my circumstances. In prison, I always had the best jobs for my ever-changing needs. One of my main determinations while serving my second prison sentence was to do everything I could to prepare myself spiritually and mentally for my purpose, as well as for my eventual release. I wrote books, I wrote music, I was in full-time prison ministry. As such, because everyone in prison was required to work, I needed prison employment, which not only provided for my basic daily needs, but afforded me the extra time needed to invest in the things stated above, which were my primary labors. The last thing I wanted was to be chained down to an exhausting prison job that took all my time, energy, and motivation, and I assure you there were plenty of such positions in prison. Well, guess what? God repeatedly gave me the best jobs in prison, particularly ones that gave me plenty of free time to work on my projects. I was employed in the library in 2 prisons. I was a chaplain's clerk for a time, a difficult job to obtain. At another time, I even started a prison newsletter and was paid for it. In my final prison facility, right before the prison term was finally over, I became an Arizona State Certified Peer Facilitator, or RSS, and worked just a few hours each week, being paid full-time wages and honestly, more than any other prison job I had during those 8 years. It's almost like I was being paid to write and perform church ministry, given how much of my working hours were focused on those other things, but that's just my employment. In my last prison, I lived in the best bed in my 120-man dorm, in the best dorm in the 1,200-man prison. There was real bedding on my thin prison mattress. Less than 5% of the prison population could afford such bedding, and I didn't even purchase mine. It was a gift. The prison did issue a cheap bedsheet and an even cheaper gray blanket, if you dared call it a blanket. The material was that rough, fire-retardant material that movers often use to wrap furniture or firefighters might hand out during emergencies. I have PTSD just thinking about those horrible blankets and the years I've slept under the scratchy material. As far as prison clothing, I was dressed better than most, and whenever I needed new clothes or shoes, God provided again and again. I rarely went hungry during the last 5 years. No credit to the 5-star prison menu. God provided me with the extra food through the prison commissary and various people. He always had, and I know he always will. Having said this, there was zero doubt in my mind that I had God's favor, especially considering my first prison term when I was still rebellious and wasn't walking with God. A polar experience. I never had the best house or the nicest clothing. As far as employment, I worked in the scorching Arizona heat like a mule and was hardly paid better. I slept on a prison pillow that may as well have been a bag of rocks, one that was stuffed with the same material as the scratchy prison blankets, and I hated every second of sleep. Yes, once I began walking with the Lord, I had favor, and it's obvious God is behind it all. You can have this supernatural favor as well. Do you doubt me? In the next few videos, we will look at 3 central Bible figures and their favor experiences during their purpose preparation journey.